Okay, David, take it away.
Thank you, Julie. And it's good to see everyone here on a summer's eve Zoom and Tell. So a lot of us are getting ready for convention. So if you missed our earlier conversations, we were talking, this is the time of year where Les and I are both glass dealers, and Jack is also a glass dealer with Elaine. So this is the time of year we're getting our inventories together and getting ready for the show. So it's a fun, exciting, but yet very busy, and uh, there's a lot of work that goes into getting ready to do a glass show, that's for sure. So tonight's program is on 3 light candlesticks and more. So if you have a 4 light or a 5 light candlestick, those are fair game this evening to share. And Jack Thompson is going to lead us off, not lead us off, but do the presentation this evening and sharing his knowledge of candlesticks. This is the third of 4 programs that Jack will be leading on candlesticks. And his next program, I believe, Jack, did we say November, is the follow-up where he's going to be talking about candelabras and epergnes, something like that. So, Jack, thank you very much for your willingness to share your knowledge on candlesticks. So, take it away.
Okay, thank you, David. Again, this is tonight's program is on 3 light candlesticks. We would appreciate if I know there's lots of 3 lights that we can bring out tonight. Just appreciate not doing any Beaubachets. We're kind of holding off on that until the November meeting, and there will be lots of things there. So this is just the candlesticks. So I am going to share my screen here. Somebody took me off. Julie, put me back as co-host, please.
You should be able to share now.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get that off there. Okay. So if you remember in the previous programs, we talked about how Cambridge only produced 1 light candlesticks all the way up until 1927. In 29, they started to do the keyhole 1 lights and then 2 lights. So, but before that, the very first 3 light candlestick that Cambridge produced is this one, which is the 824. And it's kind of a neat candlestick. It came in a couple of different colors that we know of. This is peach blow. It was also produced in light emerald. I've never seen this decorated. Maybe some of you have. Could have been cut maybe on the sides. There's not a lot of room to do decorations, but it could have had even gold trim or who knows what on it. So this is the very first one, and this was introduced in the fall of 1927. By the 1930 catalog, it was gone. So it had a pretty short life. Somebody was lucky enough to get a pair of these in the auction here recently, Cambridge auction. The second one that was introduced a little later, this was in the fall of 1928. Now we're getting into the 3-light keyhole candlesticks. These were a very popular item, and it was produced all the way up until the late 40s. It was not in the 1949 catalog, so it was out of production by that time. Now, when it was originally done, it had this the decagon base, and that was eventually changed in the mid-30s to the more round base that was you see a little more often. We don't quite know when the transition was, because it looks like they may have been producing them at the same time for a very short time. They both show up in the 35, 37 catalog, which it's hard to discern what dates are what when that's going on. So, but it was done in a lot of different colors, amber, ebony, forest green, gold crystal, light emerald, moonlight, peach blow, and willow blue. Willow blue being the earlier ones. If you see a light blue one with a decagon base, it's almost assuredly willow blue. On the round base, it was moonlight, because that transition happened about the time that moonlight was introduced. So had a lot of different etchings on it. I won't list them all. The one that we're seeing here is Breton, which is a pretty neat, I think it's a pretty neat etching. You don't see quite a bit. It was also done with a lot of cuttings. I mean, an awful lot of cuttings Cambridge did on this candlestick. So, and other decorations that were known, they did satin. They did alpine, which of course is a partial satin. Other companies took these blanks and did silver decor on them. They also did gold trim, gold incrustation, and silver incrustation. Then the next one that comes along, we're still in the late 1920s. This is the number 640 candlestick, introduced in the spring of 1929. By late 29, it was gone. So this only had a few months of production. You rarely see these. I only know of the light emerald one here at the color, and also in peach blow. Maybe others if you've seen or have could be willow blue or another color, or amber might be another possibility. They could be decorated. I have not seen that, nor do I know of any. So maybe somebody will have something on it tonight. But it couldn't have been a very good seller. Otherwise, we'd see more of them today. Because what happened is then subsequently in 1932, a couple of years later, they came out with the 1307, which was an extremely popular candlestick. It was done in a number of different colors. It was found, of course, with the Beaubochet version. It was also done with, this is what we call the tall post, although Cambridge didn't necessarily call it that, but collectors do. It also had a short post candlestick. I'll go back to that in a second. This is the short post version, and Cambridge, they produced both of these in colors all the way up through the end of the company. Cambridge, although, really took the short post and primarily marketed it as an Epergne, but they sold it without the arm and vases too, in all the colors and everything. But all the marketing materials you see are predominantly with an Epergne. So go back to the short post or the long post again. Whole bunch of different colors again. You know, amber, amethyst, carmine, crown Tuscan, forest green, gold crystal, light emerald, peach blow, royal blue, and others with both the tall and the short stem. A whole bunch of different etchings. Normally the earlier etchings are the ones that show up on this one, the tall post. The later etchings will most likely show up on the short post ones. So also, they cut this candlestick quite a bit. And then they had different, you see this one has the red enamel trim on it. They also had black enamel and the blue-green enamel also. And the Crown Tuscan ones also came gold encrusted and gold stippled, both of them. So then nextly after this, we're in the early 30s, another iconic candlestick that was hugely popular was introduced, the 1338 three-light candlestick. When it was first introduced, it's interesting, this was part of the Gadroon, a 3500 line, although it really has no Gadroon features or anything like that. And it was predominantly marketed everywhere, not just in the 3500 line. It was an accessory item, you know, even in the Caprice line and the 3400 line. But it was a very popular candlestick. And it actually came in 4 versions. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on this tonight, but if you're interested in that, I did an article in the 2014 September Crystal Ball that goes into detail about all the 4 different versions of this candlestick. So this is version 1, though. This was the original one, and you'll notice the tail that sits down there in the back is open. Later versions were filled in, and they must have had a little problem from time to time with that tail sagging when it came out of the mold. And we've actually seen examples where that tail just sagged and set right on the ground. Now, how it got out of the factory, we don't know, but it did. So later on in those versions, they were filled in, and I will show you a quick one right here. This is a later version. Versions 2 or 3 could be, it's really a discussion, again, which one is which. So this could be version 3, depending on your philosophy on that. But you can see the tail is filled in here. And this is the little Rosa, and this is Alpine. So now we're still in the 30s. And this is the only 35, other than that 1338, which actually was originally introduced in the Gadroon line. This is technically the only real 3-light candlestick in the Gadroon line. You can see it has the Gadroon feature around the perimeter of the base. Only produced for a very short time, maybe a year or 2. Couldn't have been a very good seller. You only see it predominantly in crystal, but you will see it etched Elaine and Rose Point both. Those are the 2 that I'm aware of. It could be others too, but those are the only ones that I know that have been seen. So, because what they did is they took this candlestick and they turned it into this candlestick, which is the exact same blank, but what they did is they added the Caprice optic to the underside. But they even left, you can see around the perimeter on the base, they even left the Gadroon edge on there. So, and the whole rest of the candlesticks is exactly the same. And this Caprice 74 was a very popular one. And you'll find it, in the different colors and, in La Rosa and with the Beauboucher and Alpine. So, or not La Rosa, but excuse me. Did I say La Rosa? This is just known in crystal and moonlight. I apologize. Yeah. So it'd be pretty in La Rosa. So. Again, for Julie, we got a pristine candlestick going in here. This is the 3-ball. Of course, we showed the 2-ball a few months ago on the 2-light candlestick, and this was introduced at the same time in the 1942 catalog supplemental page. It's the only time you see it. Very rarely seen. They're very difficult to find. So, but it's kind of a fun candlestick to have and look at. So. And I guess you call it the penultimate introduction of a 3-light candlestick is the 3900. This is etched Elaine, had to get an Elaine candlestick in here, of course. But it was really a pretty neat candlestick that they designed here. Notice that the stem in the middle is also the same stem that's on the 1-light candlestick in the 3900 line, as well as a couple of comports. And that is from the 3779 stemware line. They took that stem, or a facsimile of it anyway, and utilized it here in this candlestick. So it's pretty nice design there. It's known etched Candlelight, Chantilly, Diane, Elaine, Portia, Rose Point, and Wildflower. That's about it. Remember, the 3900 line was introduced late 40s. Things are kind of winding down. So the 3900 line is not a very extensive or very big line. So, and it's not known in any colors. That would have been cool to do this in colors, but who knows? It may show up one day. You never say never with Cambridge. So then the last candlestick that was introduced is the 1339 candlestick. Very, very difficult one to find. It's known in crystal. Rose Point is probably the most predominant etch you'll see on it. and then Chantilly, and then this pair in Daffodil. So there's not a catalog image of it, but over the years we've been able to determine that this is what we thought this was for many years, but it shows up on a lot of invoices that were sent out in, I think, 1953 and 1954. So those appear to be the dates of, uh, of production. And that is it. There are, I asked the question that this program could be 3 lights and up. So there's, of course, we'll see what people have. I didn't show anything on up, but we'll see if people get creative and what they're doing. And I will drop this. And, well, first of all, I'm going to see if anybody has any questions.
I do.
Yes.
Did they pretty well, anytime they were going to put Eperns and Bobaches on it, did they normally make them flat on the top?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. Well, what they did, if they were going to take like a candlestick version, let's go back to the 1307, this one. And if they, because this one had a version with the Bobachet in it, they would add a lip on the top. So in the center candle cup is where the Bobachet went on this one. So they would actually add a raised lip to it for the Bobachet to sit on. Is that what you were getting at?
Okay, I was just curious because I have this candlestick and mine's flat, like all 3 are flat here,
Okay, that
but
did
there's
not take a
no
Bobachet then.
raised lip, so it wouldn't have had it. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all the items that Cambridge put a Bobachet on, they would add that little raised lip for the Bobachet to sit on.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll have to pay attention to that. Thank you.
So Jack, that would be like an insert, right? That went onto the mold.
That I don't know. Was that how
And
they
then
did
when the
it?
plunger went down, it would create a different shape candlestick, I think.
Oh, that's the first time I'd heard that. That would be an easy way, it seems like, to do that as opposed to having a new mold for each one. Hmm.
Oh, I definitely don't think it was a separate mold.
Yeah.
They just modified it by adding. I think clip's kind of a nice word for it. I never heard that before, but that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Just it made a slight addition to the mold before.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Hmm. Any other questions?
Jack, I just could you go back to the 1339, the last
1339.
photo?
Sure. Let's see. There we go.
So you said this was made in an only a very limited number of etchings, and we see daffodil, chantilly. What other, you said rose
Rose
point?
Point, and then we know them in crystal. Those are the only 4 different varieties or 3 etches in the crystal that are known that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We could see it. I have high hopes that we might find an Elaine one sometime, and it could very well be Wildflower and those late etches that were, at that time period.
Mm-hmm. Now, does the form emulate any other candlestick that we know of? Like we see the curlicues and the things like that. Was this just
Absolutely. Let's look at what they did here is they took the 1338, they
Mhm.
removed the base, and they added this base to it. So they went back to this one. They took that candlestick and they modified it to I got to go all the way back down. Let's see. Get that one. So, and it's not really the same mold. It's really more the design that they did. I don't think they could just remove the base from the 1338. I don't want to give you that impression, but the top part of the 1338 candlestick is just like the top of the 1339. So,
Yes, that's what I was noticing. So I just wanted to look at them in comparison. So
yeah.
thank you for that. We really do appreciate you understanding all the nuances of these candlesticks, because we tend to just shop and we go, oh, isn't that a pretty candlestick? And then realize that there's all these very particular little things that we don't look at very carefully sometimes.
Well,
So
when you made as many candlesticks and variation of candlesticks and candelabras as Cambridge did, I mean, there's just all kinds of those things to, if you really want to get into that part of it, it's fun. So
yes. Okay. Are there any other questions for Jack before we go to the show and tell portion? Okay.
okay, I will stop sharing.
Thank you.
And there we go.
Okay, we're gonna change the order up a little bit tonight. We're gonna put Marilyn Keck first, and we're gonna put Gwinnell on deck. So Marilyn, you'll have to unmute yourself, please. And
bigger. Yeah.
okay, we gotta mute you yet, Alan. You're not quite up yet. You will be shortly. So Marilyn, are you able to unmute? Where's Marilyn? She said she was going to be on tonight.
She's
don't
on. She's
There it is.
There it is. Okay.
My first one is the number 1307, and I think it's light emerald. I don't think it's pistachio, and I'm looking for the mate to it. Had it for a long time. Love this color. Now it's colored black. So that's my first one.
Marilyn, we couldn't see the bottom of that candlestick. Does it have an etching or is it plain on the
No.
bottom?
No, I've never seen green etched.
All right, thank
Maybe I'll find a Rosalie one of these times. And then this one is the short stem etched in rose point. 1307 again. And 1338 etched rose point. And 3974 rose point. I always think of this with daffodil because the daffodil stem is this blank. And you were talking about, Jack was talking about this candlestick, and Gary Turner's book has both of those candlesticks side by side, and it's really a good reference because you can see the differences in them, the two right there.
Well, that's good for us to know. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. And that's what I have.
Which book was that in?
Gary gave me this book. I don't know how it's available, but it's the Rose Point book that he does.
Okay.
You can purchase it at the museum. You have a nice inventory.
Okay.
It's a great book. I use this every month. It's wonderful.
I do too,
Yeah.
because it has a lot of the different types of glassware, but it's well detailed, where some of
Right.
the other pictures, sometimes from the other catalogs, just aren't as defined. So,
Right.
well, thank you for sharing with us, Marilyn. We really appreciate that. And it's so nice that you had a version of the tall in the green, and then you had the short to follow. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Marilyn, I might add that light emerald one, you said you didn't see it. That's one of the most difficult colors to find in that candlestick.
When you know it.
They did come etched. I have a pair that's etched Rosalind, and I've seen it. Rosemary is another etch that early one you see on the tall post. So, but that's the first plain one I've seen unetched. So.
Excellent. Next, we're going to go to Gwinnell, and then we're going to put Christine on deck.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try a new tool and see if this works. Okay, let's see here. Where are we? There we are. All right, there's the Caprice 74. And then we've got the Caprice, I believe it's the 76. And it's got the collar or the lip on the top of it. You see that, Christine? The crystal one does not have that. And then there's the Moonlight in 1538-8. And since Jack said this is no Beaubochet, I took the Beaubochets and the the vases off of it. We'll do that in November. I'll share with that. And then got the 5 light. It was not Caprice, but it's very similar, which is the 1577, I believe. Let me get my cord to go. And then the 1568 that has the 1432 arm. And see if I can do this. It also put the arm on the 5 and change it to a 7. But on the 1568, 2 of the candlesticks have the collar at the top or the lip, and the one in the middle does not. And I've still got the cushion in there to protect it. So that's what I've got. We'll do the Beaubochets and vases another time.
Gwinnell, could
Uh-huh.
you show, would you mind showing your Caprice 74 candlestick again? Yeah, just the either one. And the reason I say that
Okay.
is because I forgot to mention this. People ask this question a lot. That candlestick was, I guess, I don't know what the proper term is. Les will probably correct me on this. It's either reproduced or reissued by Summit Glass. And Summit reproduced this in the colors of now Crystal and Moonlight, which are the same Cambridge colors, but they also produced it in Royal Blue, a Pistachio, which are not Cambridge colors. So if you see it in those two colors, you know it's a Summit reproduction. And you can tell Summit glass if you've ever felt it doesn't feel right. Collectors will say it's kind of got a greasy feel to it. The edges are not polished like Cambridge candlestick would be. So
No, they're
I just
not.
wanted to mention that. I forgot to do that earlier, so thank you.
Well, thank you, Gwinnell, and we look forward to seeing your Beaubochets and all the other accoutrements come November. But it's always nice to see your examples of the Caprice lines and how they obviously they use the arms to dress these up. So,
Oh, yes.
as you said, more the better, I think, in
That's
some
right.
cases. So, thank you so much for sharing with us as always. And I got to go back to my list here. Next, we have Christine. And then we are going to put Alan on deck.
Well, I have a 1307 in the pink. Let me see. I can't get this. I gotta see if I can get the picture to show up of myself so I can tell if I'm even showing anything
You're
here.
showing it. Put it in
Really?
gallery view and it'll or speaker view. And when you speak, you should pop up.
There we go. So, and if it makes it better, I can even do this maybe. Does that help you see it better? A little bit better. So you
Yes.
can see there's no etch or anything in the bottom, and it is the tall stem to it. I thought it was kind of interesting as you were talking, Jack. I only have tall stems. I have this in the royal blue as well as crystal, and mine are all tall stems. I didn't know there was a short stem. So that was interesting. And thank you, Gwinnell, very much for showing me the lip because I really didn't have any idea what that looked like. So thank you so much for showing that. I'm gonna put in a little plug to myself the 824. I did have a pair of them, and my dogs in playing one day broke one of them. So if anyone has an 824 in pink, let me know because I need the other one. The ones I'm showing you are pairs. And then the other one that I have here is of course the satin. This is the keyhole one. So the satin pink. It does have the decagon base. I don't know if you guys can really see that or not
Yes.
on the picture. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Christine. And we will put in your order for the 824.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think we're always on here and I'm writing down who needs what, who needs this. So thank you for sharing with us as always. It's always a pleasure. And now back from a long absence, Alan, we're happy to see you and Sally back, and we are going to put less on deck. I need you to unmute, I think, Alan. Okay. I asked you to unmute.
There we go.
There we are. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thanks. The fleur-de-lis, it's Crown Tuscan. Normally, it would just be all one shade. I don't know if you can tell here, but the very top of it, which is flat, is a much lighter Crown Tuscan color, almost white on all three stems.
Can you lift it up for us, Alan? We can't quite see it in our viewpoint. Maybe, yeah, maybe hold it back toward you a little bit. There you go. And could you hold it, flip it so we can see the side of it, which one it is?
This is the tall post.
Tall post. Okay. Thank you.
I have a number of these, but as I put in my note, they're very high in the showcase or in the back, and Sally is not going to go up on a ladder. Sorry.
Good point. Safety first.
Exactly. I have another one in forest green in the tall post, and this is etched rosemary. Very difficult to tell the rosemary pattern on it.
Is it possible you can tilt your camera down possibly a little bit? We're not quite picking up there we go. Let's try that again.
Okay.
Just hold it up again. Little higher. There we go. Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah. The ones I'm showing, I have pairs, but I only brought one of each.
What next?
And the next one is royal blue. No,
What?
the
Oh.
fleur-de-lis.
Which one? This one?
No, the one behind it. Not that one.
No.
Got to keep our order straight.
Yeah.
Ah,
Royal blue, tall post, not etched. I don't know if you can see it that well.
mm-hmm.
Very rich color. I love it. And okay, take this.
What do you want? The other one?
Yeah, now we're going to 1338. This is a type 4, as Jack has explained. It's royal blue. It has the narrower ball underneath the center post. It's hard to tell about the other ones. This, however, is not filled in at the top. So I wonder if it was a repro. I'm not quite sure.
Alan, that candlestick was never reissued or reproduced. You're
Okay.
safe.
Okay, then it is an original. Now I've got to find a mate to it. It's taken me years to find the one.
What do you want next?
The mandarin yellow. Mandarin yellow. And I don't think anybody has shown a yellow candlestick yet. So I have a Mandarin Gold. And that, since it was a late color, I don't know if Jack could tell me whether it's a 3 or 4.
That's the version 4. Yeah,
Okay.
the two late colors, which are late dark emerald and the mandarin gold, were all the fourth and final version.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my last one, somebody had. It might have been you, Jack. The La Rosa Alpine. Candle cups are Alpine. Part of the base is Alpine. And this is one of my favorites in candlesticks. So, can everybody see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and it's wonderful to see you both again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We're glad you could join us, and always great to see what you have to share for us. Those couple of those are just beautiful and outstanding. As you said, it's a little hard to see the dark blues, the cobalts, but nonetheless, really, really beautiful.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
cobalt is very, very rich color.
Yes, yes. I'm
Thank
sure the camera does not do it justice.
Nope.
Okay, next we'll go to Les, and we will put David on deck, please.
All right, I'm all right.
Okay. That a couple times now, the topic of the terminology reissue or reproduction has come up. And of course, if it's not Cambridge, it doesn't really matter what you call it. But for the newer people, Mark Nye was the author on a lot of the books, was president of NCC. And if you read, there was quite an emphasis in the Crystal Ball years ago that if it's from the original Cambridge mold, it's a reissue. They're just reissuing it. If it's a brand new mold, it's a reproduction. So for some advanced discussion, that distinction does make a difference. But from our purposes, probably if it's not made by Cambridge, it's a reproduction. And that's probably just fine. Also, I got one correction. I hate it when I make mistakes and give bad information. And I did 1 month ago at the Zoom and Tell, because we were talking about this puff box, and it's topaz, and the etching has a number 704, all of these numbers, and Jack went over the numbers of the candlesticks. They didn't have names for these candlesticks, just a number. So it doesn't make it convenient today when we're collectors. It didn't matter to the company. Of course, they were just selling glass. But I said the collector name for this etching is window pane, and I don't know where that came from. It's Windows border. When we were done last week or last month, I was like, did I say window pane? So I apologize. The collector name for it is Windows border. Okay. So I've got a couple of candlesticks. I love my enamel. So this is, Jack showed one of these in with red enamel. This has got black enamel. And again, the enamels were all overwhelmingly from 1931 to 1934. Cambridge went nuts on enamels in that period of time. Mark Nye and others have said that it really helped save the company there during the Depression because they had to have something that was different. The crash happened in 29, so it was a tough, tough time. So they did enamels throughout the years of production, but they did a lot of it from 1931 to 1934. So of the three colored enamel on the Crown Tuscan, the most common by a long shot is ebony. They also did the red that Jack showed in his PowerPoint. And besides that, they did green. Now, I don't know if this shows up well there, but to me, the black contrasts beautifully from the Crown Tuscan. The red is in, the pink family. This green on Crown Tuscan, I don't know why they did it, but there's about, I think, equal numbers of the green and red. The red enamel on Crown Tuscan tends to be on the vases, and it's very striking. Now, the other thing about, of course, the Crown Tuscan in that early period from 32 to 1934, we think they put this enamel stamp on the bottom of the pieces, some of the gold encrusted pieces too, right at the very beginning of the production of Crown Tuscan. And again, this early Crown Tuscan, Alan, you showed a piece that was very light colored. And in those early years, they really struggled with consistency. Crown Tuscan was introduced in 1932, and some of it's almost white and some of it's almost brown and everything in between. And there were enough complaints that the Cambridge factory told the sales reps that you can ship it back. We'll replace it. And over time, they were able to come up with a more uniform color for the Crown Tuscan that had the true pink and the opalescent on the edges and that type thing. But those early years, it was tough. And these pieces, again, with that Crown Tuscan enamel mark on the bottom, often are really weird colored. That's what I've got, Julie. Oh, the other thing, collectors got a name for this one too. It's the 1307 number, but a lot of collectors and dealers call it the tree bark. Now, I don't know if that's a tree bark, but that's what a lot of collectors and dealers call it, the tree bark candlestick. So
I would tend to call that more of a not a Doric look, but if you look at the architecture, and this is where, because I study a lot of construction and buildings and so forth, a lot of the architecture at that time had that acanthus look, which kind of mimics some of the things that we see in the Cambridge line. So I don't look at it as tree bark. I kind of look at it as, very decorative. And it's about the same time frame. So when you look at the buildings of the late teens, early 20s, almost into the 30s, if you look at older buildings, they often have a lot of the design that we see in some of our Cambridge pieces.
yeah, you can see why, at a quick glance, why people might say, though, tree
Oh,
bark.
yeah. It
Yeah.
looks like a tree with some
And
branches.
the other one, of course, among Cambridge collectors is the silver seahorse, Rockwell.
Yes.
Well, supposedly, I think it's really a dragon. We've called it a seahorse, but again, whatever works for you.
Yeah, whatever works for us. So appreciate that as always. And yeah, I never did understand the green enamel. It's so very light. I'm surprised they didn't go with something more vibrant in a color, like maybe a dark forest green rather than that lighter green enamel. I just never really understood it. It's beautiful nonetheless. It's just so light, though. Like you said, the contrast between the red and the pink seems natural, as does the black. But the green to me just always seems a little out of place.
And it may be why the vast majority of it is black enamel.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, thank you, Les. Appreciate it as always, some of the unique pieces that you bring for us. Next, we have David and Tim. We'll put you on deck if you have something that you've pulled out of your cabinets.
Thank you, Julie. I have two examples this evening. Jack mentioned that the three light decagon base does come with a silver overlay. This is probably a sterling. This is not Rockwell. It's around each of the three candle cups, and then you can see it around the base on the early decagon base three light candlestick. And my second example, the 1307, has been quite popular this evening. This one also is in pink with the taller stem, and it's kind of unique. There is a ribbon. So kind of like tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. There is a ribbon tied around the portion of the candlestick here. So make of that what you want. This one happens to be etched Marjorie. And Marjorie was introduced in 1915, one of the first etchings that Cambridge ever produced. There were a couple like Strawberry, I think there's something similar to that came out a couple years prior. But Marjorie was a huge line, and in the early years, it was basically crystal. Mm-hmm. There are a few light emerald pieces out there that have surfaced over the years. But in the 30s, they reintroduced Marjorie, and they made a few console sets. And I've seen the console sets in pink, forest green, and amber, as well as crystal. And they're always this candlestick and one of the round line. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right word, but They had a console bowl, and that console bowl could be flared, crimped, or I don't know, folded, I guess is lack of a better word, where they kind of folded it into 3 scallops. So that's kind of cool that they brought the Marjorie etching back out in the 30s and simply to make console sets. They were not making any stemware or other items in the Marjorie line that they had initially done back in around 1915. So I have this pair of candlesticks I shared at the fall meeting, this candlestick in forest green, but they're just really, really neat to find these later candlesticks with the early Marjorie etching. That's all I got, Julie.
Beautiful piece, beautiful piece. So, as you said, they come in other colors. So now we're all going to be on the scout for these. So thank you, David, as always. So Tim, you're up. Were you able to get into the cabinet after your long vacation and reunite yourself with some of your candlesticks?
Sorry, it was too difficult to get to, so I'll pass.
Okay, you're going to pass tonight. Okay. Well, I had one picture to show, but I was told no on the Bobaches. So we will save that until November. I will let her know that we're going to have to wait till November for her photograph. Is there anyone that we missed this evening that has any candlesticks to share? None? Oh, excellent. Okay, Jeff.
Okay. Not that you ain't never seen one of these before. Etched in Elaine. It's probably the first one tonight, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have this one in Elaine also. And this one that Jack had showed, also in Elaine, which needs a mate. If anybody has one that's just sitting around doing nothing. That's all I got.
Well, thank you. I'd be disappointed if you weren't showing Elaine. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. Maybe you'll find a mate in a
Maybe.
few weeks. In a few
I
weeks.
like your glasses though.
Oh, well, thank you.
Are
They're
they
my,
La Rosa or Dianthus?
I don't know. They got a little yellow at the bottom. They're my
Oh.
computer ones because they block out the bright light. So I use them when I'm doing a lot on the computer and so forth. So does anyone else have any glassware to share tonight?
Hey, Julie, before David goes on, I got a question for the group.
Sure.
I saw a lot of the 1307 talls. Did they make the short one in color, very many colors? Does anybody know that?
You missed you weren't here for my presentation, I guess.
I didn't hear the short one, Jack. Help me.
That's all right. I'm just giving you a hard time. They actually did make the short ones in quite a few colors. I'll read them off for you. Amber, Crown Tuscan, Moonlight, Peach Blow, Royal Blue, Forest Green, Amethyst. So those were all colors in the short stem too as well.
I just found it odd. Nobody brought any colors of those tonight.
They're much harder to find.
Okay.
And David, we're going to take it back to you now.
All right, thank you, Julie. And just want to echo thank you everyone who shared glass this evening. I know that takes a little time and a little effort to sometimes find those pieces. I know I was looking around my house today and I know I've got more 3-light candlesticks, but they're just not as easily found as the 2 I shared were. So again, thank you for the people that are sharing it during the Zoom and Tell. Next month would be our June Zoom and Tell, and
July.
June. Okay, we're going to back that up. The July Zoom and Tell, Les Hansen is leading a program on Cambridge Carnival treatment, glass that was applied the carnival decoration or treatment to those early patterns from the near cut era for the most part. So if you have any carnival treatments in your collection, so make sure you look those up, give you plenty of time to look for those. It's kind of a small era. The carnival treatment was done, so you're going to have to look in that special place in your case for those items. and then later this summer, we'll continue. We have got programming for the rest of 2025. I need to get that to Doug if I haven't already done so, and you can find that on the website as well. So check out the website. I know we've talked about it a little bit here on Zoom and Tell, but a team of people went through a lot of effort and time in putting the new website together. So go ahead and check that out. And if you were really comfortable with the old website, it might take you a time or two to get comfortable with the new website, but everything is there. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to someone and maybe they can help you find your way around the new website. So again, thank you to Jack for the presentation. Thank you for everyone who shared the glass. And if we're looking forward to carnival glass or carnival treatment or carnival decoration, I'm sure Les will clarify that during his program in July. That is July. So thank you again. And that's all I've got, Joy.
Well, thank you, David. And thank you, Jack. As always, we really appreciate all your nuances and understanding the candlesticks for us. So that's all I have for you. Again, we wouldn't have the programming we have if it wasn't for all of you that are willing every month to take a little time out of your evening, share your glass with us. As it's often been said, this is not just Zoom and Tell anymore. It's really our own study group. And I really appreciate all the knowledge I receive each and every month. And for all the presenters like Jack, the time it takes, Les, when you present the time it takes. Obviously, Gwinnell, you've been a presenter, as has several others that are on the call tonight. There's too many for me to mention, but we appreciate all the time and effort you put into this. And we look forward to seeing you next month and learning a little bit more about carnival treatments. So for now, have a great rest of your month, and we look forward to seeing you in July.